everybody. Thanks for tuning into this episode of Nanocast. Nanocast, the podcast all about the crypto nano. Nano's fast, fearless, scalable, and led by a driven team. It's inspired thousands of people to participate in the development of its apps and services. And on this podcast, you'll get to meet some of those people and learn what they're up to. I'm Sean, your host, and today we get to hang out with Ty of BrainBlocks, the CEO of BrainBlocks. Ty, thanks so much for coming on with us.
Hey, how's it going?
Pretty good. Yourself?
Doing all right.
All right, cool. I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit more about yourself, where you're from, and for now, what your journey was to get into crypto.
Yeah, so my name is Ty, like most people know. I live here in the States in Indiana, and don't have a whole lot going on in my life. But anyway, I got into crypto in about 2013, 2014. Started really looking at Bitcoin and was interested with how you can control and send your own funds. And so from there, I kind of just followed it on and off, and I managed to get my my dad and myself invested roughly in 2015 for a little bit. And then in 2016, I started following Raebox, and then in 2017, I actually started getting involved with buying some. And then in January of 2018, I joined BrainBlocks.
Sweet. It's not very often that I interview people that were involved with Raebox so far back.
Yeah, I was like one of the guys in the shadows. Like, I didn't really participate in the community. I didn't really do a whole lot. I just kind of followed what they're doing. Because I mean, back then, no offense to Colin or anyone, but it was kind of rough. In 2016, it was a bit rough. There was quite a few bugs, which is, with every new project. And then as we got closer towards the end of 2017, it really started to look pretty nice, which was when I invested. So,
if it looked rough, why were you interested in looking into it?
Just the technology, the concept of scaling indefinitely, the concept of not being based on one blockchain, the concept of no fees, and its simplicity. Like, there's no smart contracts, there's none of that what I call ICO junk. It's just strictly sending payments, which in my mind was what crypto was supposed to be for originally. And it's kind of, my opinion, 2.0 of Bitcoin. It's doing what Bitcoin simply couldn't. And I was interested. I'm not entirely sure outside of that why, but yeah.
Well, those are pretty good reasons. When you first heard about it, did you think it was probably too good to be true?
Absolutely, yeah. It was, because I mean, back then there was like the faucet and whatnot. So I sent myself some from the faucet, and it was great. And from when I did send myself some of the faucet Nano, I was pretty much hooked for pretty much all of 2017. I didn't really use the faucet or anything like that. I just followed it on GitHub and followed it on Discord and that kind of stuff. So yeah.
Do you have a background that allows you to actually understand what you're looking at on GitHub?
Well, yes and no. So I'm a freelance iOS engineer.
Okay.
So I get like most of the general GitHub stuff, and then I'm not too huge on other languages that they're using, like C, but I do know Objective-C, which they also have some of that. So yeah, I mean, I can understand parts of it, and from just like once you know one language, it's fairly easy to understand the others, even if you don't know them fluently. So yeah, I could follow just with that knowledge.
Right. So what are some other things you've worked on iOS wise aside from BrainBlocks?
So I built, I think BrainBlocks is going to be my 15th app, I believe. So I've built, a lot of information apps for companies here locally, where they'd bring me in, hey, we have these customers that they need this unique information, directions to places and different things like that. Basic information apps. And then I built a couple of games, kind of played with those. Didn't really love it. I built a clone of Flappy Bird. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
It was like known worldwide. So I built a clone of that. Just kind of play around with the game dynamics, and yeah, here we are. Since then, I built Coin Audit, which is probably my most recent app. I haven't really done a ton of work on it, but the idea behind it is it connects to CoinMarketCap, so you can kind of follow your profits and your losses on there very easily. And then we have BrainBlocks POS, which is a bit on the back burner right now, but I'm also working on the BrainBlocks personal app, which is going to be for iPhone, where you'll get a wallet and all that nice stuff in there. So,
cool. All right. I want to ask more questions about that, but first let's back up a little bit and kind of hear the story of how you got connected with Daniel Brain of BrainBlocks.
Perfect. So I believe if I have my timeline correct, it's hard to remember. He released BrainBlocks January 12th, 2018. On January 13th, I sent him a Reddit message, which was, it's funny, I actually I'd never really used Reddit before that. So in early January is when I got myself a Reddit account, or maybe December, I don't know, something like that. And then figured out how to send him a message and send him a message just, hey, I'd like to build an iOS SDK for you. I really like what you're doing, and I think it's going to go huge. And he was like flabbergasted that I was going to do it. And so I'd spent, I don't know, I think 3 days. We were talking about, I think it was like 3 days straight, hardly any sleep, just build it, and then added the features because at that time it was still like brand new. So he was still making quite a few changes. So for that 3 days, I built the SDK, and then I built like a simple little demo app. And then since then, he just kind of let me start working on other things. He had to, in February, take some time away for some work stuff, and during that time is when I kind of ran things and helped out as much as I could. And since then, it's been us working on it. So yeah, I feel
like
good.
I feel like you're telling a story that I hear a lot in crypto, and it's kind of an interesting industry, and because everything's so new, I feel like there's lots of opportunities for this, but it is hearing about something that needs to happen and then just doing it.
Yeah, I mean, if you like, nothing makes me more annoyed in the crypto space than people that look at a project and be like, I wish it had this, and then they don't do anything. Like, if you want to do something, if you want to be involved, if you want something to be a certain way, if you have a better idea, just do it. Do it and propose it, and chances are you're probably going to be involved at some level on the project. I mean, we had a perfect example is we needed plugins for all of our all of, like the e-commerce websites, so like WooCommerce and Shopify and all that, and all of those came from the community. You know, there's various people that knew just how to build them, and they went out and did it, and they sent me a message, hey, look at this, what do you think about it? I said, looks great. I tested it, and as soon as it passed all the tests that we needed to do, we brought it in, and it's now on our GitHub. So yeah, that's like, I mean, you see Troy and the rest of the team at Nano talking about it all the time, but that's how you get involved. You know, that's how you do it. You don't, none of them in core just did it through an interview. You know, they they started out by saying, hey, I can do this for you, and then they did it, and you know, they're a part of it. So yeah.
So when you first volunteered to help Daniel, or to build this SDK, it was right after he put out his post about BrainBlocks, which was totally on a whim. So probably neither of you expected anything to happen with this.
No.
Has there been a lot of things that have happened since then where you go, yeah, that was a good decision. I'm glad I did that.
I mean, like, there's a lot of back end stuff that I can't go into too much detail about, but yeah, like we've made decisions throughout the progress of BrainBlocks that we're definitely looking back on and being like, wow, good that we did that, because you know, other people don't have it, and other people, you know, just, yeah, they don't have that. So yeah, we're definitely glad that we did some certain things, and I think that's with every project. You know, everyone kind of has an idea and somehow implements it, and then, you know, 6 months down the road, it's like, wow, I wish I, you know, did that earlier, because it helped a lot. So
what's the story, if you could tell us a little bit? I mean, I think if people have been keeping up with Daniel and just BrainBlocks in general, they probably know, but what's the story for how you ended up being the CEO, and what's going on with Daniel?
right, so in March is when Daniel and I really looked at it, and we're like, okay, we have something special here. We have a plan for the next 2 years on how to execute it. We know what we want to do. How do we convert it into a business? How do we make it so that way we can have a team and actually build what we need? How do we do it? Have some, and so what I ended up doing is, I flew out to California, and I met with Daniel, and we signed partnership papers and all of that, so we could get everything kind of squared away there. And then from that point on, I just started working to expand it, and we kind of knew that his green card situation had him really limited, so he couldn't really participate at all other than being an advisor. So from March until now, I ran things. I knew that, you know, realistically he was probably 12 months out before he could help, but I wasn't going to just sit here and let his idea, his project, his, you know, little kid die, you know. So I was going to do everything in my power to run it until he could. And then in April we had brought on a couple of people, and they simply, as one of them was CEO, and they simply didn't work out. We just had different ideas on the direction of BrainBlocks, and then we worked our way through, and now I'm the CEO to run it, and Daniel now has his green card, so he can participate. Kind of out of the blue, at the beginning of August, he got it. We had no idea that it was coming, we still thought he was, until early next year. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's great. So what does that make his role? He's going to be the president?
So I think really, like, he's a developer, he likes doing the dev work, and he participates on the business side also, but he really likes and prefers the dev side. So I think he'll probably lead the dev team more than anything. And I'll probably step away from the dev side a little bit and start doing more business oriented things. And yeah, I don't, personally, and I don't want to speak for him, but I think he believes the same. Like, titles don't really matter, we're trying to bring in the right people so that we can build what we need to build. And so if that means bringing in, a president, for example, to do something, then so be it. Yeah, so we're kind of doing what we feel's our best, where our strengths are, and we're letting other people fill in our weaknesses. So
sounds great. Sounds like a plan. You guys, you're letting other people fill in your weaknesses. Does that mean you're hiring others?
Yeah. So we have about, I can't go into too much detail, but we have about 10 people right now, roughly. And we're looking to expand even more. We're closing in on our funding, so we're really looking to ramp that up a little bit more here shortly.
All right. So what would you say is sort of the mission statement of BrainBlocks?
That's a tough one. I think our goal, not so much a mission statement, but our goal is really to build the best payments platform for the future. So we want to take advantage of crypto without being a crypto project, and we really want to just redo the current financial system. We feel like there's no way that you need to wait 7 days to get a payment. We feel like there's no way that you need to carry around a credit card. We feel like there's no reason why you should give up your control over your funds to other people. So yeah, we're trying to build something that's for the future, that fits kind of what the public is moving towards, and rather than just sit around and let the current financial system do whatever it does for the next 50 years.
Right. And the direction you think the public is moving towards includes primarily mobile, touchless?
Yeah, mobile, contactless payments, and payments that I have control over. It's my wallet. I'm not using a bank. I'm not swiping a card. I'm simply using my phone that I have full control over, and I'm making that payment. I'm authorizing it. And that goes right back into crypto. The whole idea behind crypto was that you have full access of your funds. You can send your funds to anybody. And so we really want to take that idea and drive it home with solutions that really are missing. We really want to make crypto something where it's easier than using current financial platforms, rather than make it harder. We don't understand why crypto is so hard. Yes, there's a lot of technical details, but why does the end user have to go through those technical details? Why not break it down so it's easy for everyone to use? So that's kind of our motive. That's kind of what we're going for. Is just to make things as easy as possible.
Right. So how do you make crypto easy to use? Any ideas you want to share?
So, well, I think there's a few ways. Not to go into too much detail, but like if you have an alias system, that's going to greatly improve the sending experience for the buyers. If you have, just a one tap on the phone pay, and it just through NFC or Bluetooth or whatever pays that person, that's going to greatly improve the buyer experience. If you automatically convert a seller's profits into fiat, that's going to greatly improve the merchant experience. Like there's so many things that can exist that don't. You see Coinbase, yeah, they're doing great things for the exchange, but what are they doing for the general experience? Not a ton. You see just all the companies in crypto right now, they're doing things that are great, that are individual little tiny pieces. And so we're thinking, why not take all those tiny pieces, all those advantages, and put them together? Make them work seamlessly. And that's kind of what we're looking to do. We have a new team that we brought on that's going to really help our wallet experience. And yeah, we're excited for what we're going to build.
One of the things that you mentioned was creating something that converts the seller's payment into fiat. Do you think that there's any, obviously that's been talked about a lot. I mean, I've talked about it in some of my past videos, but do you think there's any conflict in kind of the principles in that? Using Nano for Nano, but in that case, it's losing its nanoness.
Sure. So, I mean, like there's no hiding that we're simply not going to replace fiat right now. No matter how much all of us crypto enthusiasts want to, there's no possible way. It's just not realistic. So I think long term, the idea is that most people probably won't exchange out, but in the short term, in the next 10 years, that is going to play a crucial role. 20 years down the road, I think it's going to be all just crypto. And maybe I'm overestimating. Maybe it's the next 5 to 10 years that fiat's going to play a role, and 15 years it's going to be crypto. But yeah, you're not gonna. There's no way that we're going to just instantly phase out the existing systems. We have a lot to prove as a crypto community. We have to prove that it's a great platform, that there's not some giant downfall to using it. We have to prove that you can easily use it rather than being a, quite frankly, total pain as it currently is. And I think, yeah, I think there's no way to do it without it right now. I was talking with an extremely large merchant a few weeks ago, and they've been following us for a while, but the number one thing that they want is they want a way to automatically get into fiat. 30% of all of their revenue is in cost, and that's not product cost, but that's just like employees and all of that. So they really want at least 30% of their revenue to instantly go to fiat. And so if I can provide that platform, that's just gonna, I mean, it's gonna just shoot everyone through literally to the moon. Like not to make a joke, but it's literally going to bring everyone on. That's really the big thing that everyone's waiting for. In fact, there's probably about 5 merchants that I've talked to that are really waiting for that. So I would say stay tuned.
That's awesome. Is there do you care to share like the timeline on that sort of thing?
So Fiat is kind of, in the conversion to Fiat, there's a lot of legal aspects to it. So honestly, we're probably at minimum a year away. But we have a lot of ideas that can kind of bridge that gap that we can implement. So I'm not gonna share too much, but we think within the next 2 to 3 months we can have a stable, solid, easy one-click solution to getting into that Fiat without making any customers wait. And in the meantime, we will continue to build our exchange. And then once the legal side is done, our exchange will already be done and ready, and we can just flip the switch, which will be, drastic savings for everyone that will be using the temporary solution. So
okay, so basically you're saying that for now you think you can create sort of a manual solution that takes a few more clicks. You may be able to automate it in the future.
No, I think our temporary solution will be maybe 2 clicks, and our permanent long-term solution will be 1. And all that's going to be is within the account dashboard. So you can go on the account dashboard and you say, hey, transfer, and it's going to instantly transfer it.
Okay.
So yeah, I don't think it's going to be too hard.
Okay. So so far in this interview, you used a couple of words that I want to follow up on. I guess this is probably a good time to go back to the comment you made about the app. You said talking about an app that you're working on, and you mentioned that there'd be a wallet in that app. So far, BrainBlocks doesn't really have wallets that we can use, so I'm just wondering more if you could tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so we recently acquired nanowallet.io. They're currently the largest wallet provider for Nano. They have hundreds of thousands of accounts, and so we're looking to phase them into our new platform, where we can easily create a perfect wallet experience for the end user. So what we're looking to do is to do a kind of wallet approach where you can use Nano Wallet, or you can, so Nano Wallet will be built into the platform kind of as is, but it's going to be rebranded, and then we're going to have a new wallet solution which is going to have a little bit different approach, which is going to make it easier for the people that don't understand crypto. So what we're thinking is, through that kind of 2 wallet approach, we can please everybody and keep the security to as good as possible. So yeah, I think once we can execute on the best idea to build that solution, you'll start seeing a BrainBlocks wallet that's easier than anyone else's.
Yeah, so I mean, once you've got an app that is meant to pay for things and you have your money built right into that app, then I could see a ton of things opening up.
Yeah.
Whether that was peer-to-peer. I mean, somebody posted on Reddit the other day, and I don't know, it was kind of a stupid comment, but sorry, whoever it was. But it was like, wouldn't it be badass if you could just, touch 2 phones together and send a payment?
Yeah.
And you could
Well,
totally do that.
yeah, I mean, I guess like the thing with our app is we're gonna kind of have a full ecosystem. So we have the merchants, we potentially have the retail point of sale system, we have the buyer app, which is the best app that any user can use for Nano. And we have the users. So if you take those four things and you make it into just the best, easy to use, seamless solution, you can definitely see something where you just walk up to someone and you touch the two phones together, NFC, done. I mean, it's like that kind of stuff is going to be so much better than the existing technologies, just because like you can there's a difference between collaborating with another team and building everything internally. You see Apple doing it, and a couple other companies. So if you can bring everything internal, you can really build a very seamless solution for everyone, that just simply can't be reproduced by separate teams. So yeah, I'm very excited with how that will play out. I think we'll really build something great.
I do think that my biggest concern would be Apple Pay so easy to use.
Right.
It's there's something magical about paying with Apple Pay.
Yeah. So imagine BrainBlocks is the same way.
Yeah.
I mean, we have a few ideas that will either A, connect us directly into Apple Pay, or B, will make it as easy as Apple Pay for all existing merchants. So if you go, Subway is a good example. So if you go to Subway and you buy yourself a sandwich, you can just hold your phone up and pay with Nano. Like that kind of stuff. Once you get the system in place, you can do stuff like that. So I think people will be really excited with how everything will work, because yeah, I mean, Apple Pay is very, very easy. And from my current kind of testing, I think our app will be right along the same lines. iOS 12, which is coming out in September, I believe. I'm currently using it for testing, but it has unlocked a lot of the NFC features. So with that, you can actually use the iPhone directly of the NFC. I believe Android already has it. So once both of them have that ability, it makes things a lot easier. Because right now you can't use NFC. You have to use Bluetooth, which everyone knows Bluetooth doesn't work that well. So,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this leads me to kind of that second word that you used, and the Nano being easy to use is one thing, but being able to use it is another. So we were talking about sellers being able to instantly convert to fiat, and when you were talking about use the word exchange, that was something I was wondering about, and I think we chatted about it, and I was like, wouldn't that make you an exchange if you were able to do that? I don't know if that's something you want to talk about anymore here, but it seems like the Nano app, the BrainBlocks app that lets you use Nano, because of the current financial system, is kind of borderline useless unless you have that.
Right. And I mean, it's no secret. We've talked about it publicly. We are building an exchange. Period. There's nothing else to say about it. But imagine a solution where it's just as easy as PayPal, Square Cash, Venmo. You can just send Nano instantly to anybody you know, whether they have a Nano or they have a BrainBlocks account or not. That's really what we're targeting, is just to make the experience as good as possible. And we think if you can improve the buyer experience so that way it's as easy as possible, that will correlate with the seller experience. That will increase Nano to be used on more merchants. That will just, it'll overall make everything a lot easier. We're working on a new platform that, you know, has all the accounts and everything. And so one thing that we're also doing online is, rather than using QR codes or copying and pasting addresses, you'll be able to instantly just say pay, and it's going to be just as simple, just as fast, actually probably faster than PayPal, which we're super excited about. So you'll be able to go on there, click literally probably 2 buttons, and you'll be paying. So yeah, I think a lot of things like that are just just going to be kind of what happens as crypto expands and grows. You're gonna have to have solutions like that. It's going to have to be just as easy, if not easier, than current platforms. You know, we already talked about it, but Apple Pay is by far a better platform than anything crypto has. So if you think, you know, they have hundreds of millions of customers, the customer isn't going to want to use something harder just because they have control over it. You know, so
right.
If you build the exchange, you add the exchange in, that will flat out tie any fiat to crypto, and it bridges that gap. Right now, you have to do what, two to 3 hops, depending on what you use, to get in and out of Nano. And obviously, there's some fiat exchanges and all of that, but for the most part, most people have to do 2 to 3 hops, and that's simply unacceptable for long-term adoption. So
yeah, that would never work, or it will never get adopted with that.
You know, we kind of have one saying internally, and that is, make it as easy as our parents can use it, or make it so easy that our parents can use it. So, you know, if well, it's funny because my dad actually is an investor in Nano. So when he wants to do something, he has to call me up and I have to do it for him because he doesn't have a clue how to do it. Where if he just had our app, he can say, do this, and never have to mess with it, you know? So, yeah.
So if BrainBlocks becomes, or when the BrainBlocks exchange is built and you're able to instantly convert Nano to fiat, will you also be able to do it the other way around?
Yeah. So we have a platform idea where we can just, you know, you connect your debit card. We won't use credit cards for chargeback reasons and whatnot, but you connect your debit card or your bank account, and you'll instantly, you know, go from fiat into Nano. So if you pay a merchant and they want BrainBlocks, they want to use us, but they want fiat rather than Nano, they'll set that on their end. And when the buyer pays and they also have fiat, we'll send fiat directly to them rather than using Nano at all. But if you know, a buyer has Nano and the merchant wants fiat, we'll do it that way. And if a buyer has fiat and the merchant wants Nano, then we will, you know, let the buyer buy in instantly. Nano to Nano is obviously another pass through. So yeah, I think it's going to be a really seamless solution.
Yeah.
Once it's done.
Yeah, and I'm reminded of the Starbucks app. I don't know if you've used that at all.
Yep.
But like my wife and I have it set so that when it reaches a certain threshold, it reloads it. So we always have money on our Starbucks card to pay for Starbucks, and that gives us points. obviously there's not going to be a point system, but the just being able to like have it set so that it automatically reloads. And
yeah.
I'm just starting to kind of wrap my mind around this idea of having like it's kind of hitting me now, even though we've talked about this on Discord and stuff, but this idea, like there's three kind of main parts of crypto or of the crypto experience. There's the wallet, there's the exchange, and then there's using it. And you're talking about putting all three of those in one platform.
Yeah. And it's a lot of work. There's gonna be a lot of things that we have to overcome when doing it. But if you think about it, it's possible. From a technology point of view, from just a realistic point of view, from whatever point of view you have, it's possible.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we're at a stage now where you're going to start seeing a lot of that cool stuff that we're doing. So
I think one main difference between what you guys are doing and what crypto traditionally does is you're starting from the vantage point of how does this get used, or how is like the purpose of this thing is to pay with it. So how do we do that? And then from there, you're then looking back and saying, okay, we need a wallet that fits that idea, and we need an exchange that fits that idea.
Yeah. And I mean, I think the only way to, well, it's not the only way, and some people would argue it, but the best way, in my opinion, to make a customer-driven platform is to think of the customer first. So in our case right now, we're thinking of the merchant, but here shortly it's going to be the merchant and the buyer. And then the technical side, that's all behind the scenes that no one really cares about. So if you can make the user experience as best as possible, everything else will fall into place. You're gonna get people that want to use it. You're gonna get merchants that want to accept Nano because it's simply easy. I think with our account dashboard, you'll see a lot of cool features like that, where people can go in, have different access levels to the account. There'll be certain whitelisted addresses, blacklisted addresses, so you can't send to certain addresses. I think just all those tiny things just start growing, and they find their place once you figure out the user experience. So
yeah. You guys have huge aspirations, but in a lot of ways this stuff's already falling into place. You already have the payment processing apps across all kinds of platforms. You've got now you have the wallet in place, and I think about the pod, which I have, and so I've experienced some of the work that you guys have done as far as creating a user-friendly dashboard goes. Like for all of you guys out there, if you want to host a node, the pod is by far the easiest piece of technology I've ever used. You just plug it in, and then there's this pretty little dashboard you navigate to in your on a browser, and it just has like buttons like update your node. Like that's all you have to do, and then it just does it for you. And for anybody who doesn't know that much about computers and has maybe tried to set up a node on a VPS on a Unix machine that's in Canada somewhere, and took 15 minutes to figure out how to SSH into it. Like this is so much so much more user friendly. And since I know that you can take something so complicated and make it simple in that respect, I have no doubt that you'll be able to do the same thing for
and the pods was kind of on when I was originally building it, it was on a bit of a tight schedule. We were doing a lot of other things, so I couldn't spend a ton of time on it. So I apologize for the first few guys that got it. It was a little rough. I think you had one of the first ones. There's a couple of bugs that were just annoying that I was able to patch up really easily. But Yeah, I think I think we can make something that's really great, especially when we have more time. Um, you know, a lot of people have looked at us and they're like, "Wow, you haven't really done a ton publicly, but we're doing a lot behind the scenes." So I think everyone will see that work um, as it continues to develop, and it'll be great. It'll be great. You'll love it.
Great. Is there any sneak peeks? Anything you want to tease us with?
Well, like one thing we are doing is we're building a web POS app. So um, we did put some of our retail aspects on hold a little bit, but the web POS app is going to basically allow anyone to instantly go on there and create a payment session without having a website, or without having any existing knowledge of how Brainbox works or anything. So our designer Andre, he made a really good design on how to do that. So we're currently finishing that up, and then we plan on using that for the guys in Venezuela, on their tablets and whatnot. They can just load up the website and add whatever they want, so they can charge Nano easily.
So it's basically just like a web-based payment system for like in-person transactions.
Yeah. It's basically just a keypad, and you can set your wallet on there. You can set your currency, and yeah, it's pretty simple.
And you just mentioned your designer Andre.
Yeah.
And I remember that I said on Twitter I wanted to learn more about that new logo that was designed.
Yeah.
Did he have a bunch of designs, or was that just kind of like what he did and you're like, yep?
It was more towards this is what he did, and it looked great. So he came to us. Well, so he originally came to us for the payment module. He had a new design that looked pretty sharp, and so we worked with him to build that in, and then after that, I had asked him if he wanted to work with us on the rest of our stuff, and along with that is when he started working on the new logo, which I didn't really know about. So one day he just kind of showed up and it's like, "Here's this new logo. What do you think about it?" And I'm like, "That's cool," because like you've seen our first logo. So our first logo was cool. It had a bunch of different colors, had the brain, and then we saw 2.0, which is also the brain, but was more refined, looked more modern. And then you had the third version, which I think the third version's just as great, which is just more refinements and really kind of just symbolizes what we want to do, which is a simple solution. So which, by the way, on the logo there is a sneak peek on there. I don't know if anyone noticed it, but we actually put the Nano logo inside of the brain. So I thought that was really cool. But
yeah, you don't notice it at first though. You can have to stare for like a couple seconds before it pops out at you. It's like it's like one of those books.
Yep. So yeah, I'm excited. He's making some really awesome designs. Our website's absolutely killer. It's the best thing I've ever seen. The app idea that he has for the new design for that is phenomenal. I haven't seen the design for our dashboard yet, but I can only imagine that's going to be just as great. So.
Another thing I want to point out about the logo is just the way that has evolved. Is iterative, and it reminds me a lot of how Apple does things. But forget them. The point is that the first logo was fantastic, right?
Yeah.
Like you
Yeah.
didn't, if you didn't, I didn't know it could be any better, and then it got better.
Right.
And then the next logo, I didn't know it could be better, and then it got better. And I think it should. I mean, it demonstrates that something can always be better, and it also shows that BrainBlocks has that's part of the culture right from the beginning. That
Hmm.
they're always looking to make things better and more simple.
Yeah, and like a core thing that Daniel and I have been very true to since the start was release it and improve it. So you saw the payment module. Andre had the first design. We released it. We had a ton of Reddit feedback. Thank you guys for that, by the way. I loved it. And then we worked and we built, 2.0 or technically 3.0 of the payment module. And you look at, some of our core features that are behind the scenes. We released it. We're like, oh, this could be a little bit better, and we release another version. So we don't wait to try and perfect something. We just push it out. We get the feedback we need, and we just keep moving. And I think that idea really kind of falls along with crypto. I mean, it's constantly evolving. It's constantly improving. There's constantly someone else that has an idea to make it better. So, yeah, I'm very, very happy with how we're doing things right now.
One question that just came to mind is, do you ever see any other crypto being integrated into BrainBlocks platform?
So, I talked with a very famous exchange within the community, and I'm working with him. I'm working with him to come up with some really neat ideas for accepting other coins. So I think most people should know who he is. But anyway, I'm working with him to come up with some really cool ideas for accepting some other cryptos, while also having the advantages of Nano for processing. So
yeah,
yeah,
it seems like it would be hard to do what you're trying to do with a lot of other currencies, but there may be some.
Yeah, and so the idea is we work with him. That way you can seamlessly pay with Ethereum, Bitcoin, whatever you want. But on the back end, our system is just as simple with Nano and Nano only. We have looked at adding some other coins directly into the platform, but it's hard to do what we want to do as good as we want to do it with other currencies. What Colin and the rest of the team built is just absolutely phenomenal, and there's simply not another solution out there that we can use right now. Ethereum, everyone says, oh, it's so fast. It's slower than, I don't want to say any bad words, but it's slow, I mean, it's not as fast as Nano. It's not as good as Nano. It's not as simple as Nano. And at the end of the day, if it's not as simple as Nano, not as fast as Nano, not as free as Nano is, we're not going to use it. We're not going to put it into our main platform for just the hell of it. If there's no use for it, we're not going to use it.
Right.
But if we work with other people, I think we can make a seamless solution where we can accept other coins without actually working with them. So,
Okay.
Yeah, I think stay tuned.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's a nice little tease. Okay, going away from BrainBlocks for a little bit, what do you think about smart cards?
So,
or maybe not going away from BrainBlocks. What do
you? Yeah. So I know Roy mentioned the smart cards on this week of Nano. and other people have talked about them as well. We're kind of torn on them because on one hand, we think that the card is going away. On the other hand, we're considering in the short term if we should use them.
Right.
So if you have a card that connects to the BrainBox platform, we already have the wallet, we already have the users, we already have the ease of use, we already have the automatic scheduled payments. So if you connect a card to that, it makes it easier for every single merchant and every single user on our platform. So yeah, I think we're considering it, but I'm not entirely sure what we're going to do with it yet.
Right.
Because of the underlining, the card is going away. I think within the next 5 years, no one's going to have a card. I genuinely think that. Apple's doing some amazing things that are going to be coming out that totally simplified the payment situation. And I think the financial system in general is gonna ditch the cards in 5 years. Mm-hmm. So I'm not entirely sold on the idea of developing something for it yet, but considering it.
Got it. Cool. All right. Well, we've talked for a long time, and I'd love to talk to you more about just the crypto market in general and where it's going. But I think maybe we've talked enough for now. Is there anything that we haven't touched on about BrainBox that you wanted to share or make sure people heard?
I mean, I guess the only thing that I would touch on is that we're looking for investment here shortly. So we're going to be opening up our seed round in not too long. So if you're an investor out there, right now we can only accept accredited investors, but if you're an investor out there, definitely send me an email at contact@brainbox.io, and we can talk about it. But yeah, I think other than that, stay tuned. We're making some awesome things, and I think a lot of people are going to enjoy them. So
sweet. Well, the last word goes to you. What are some words of advice to the community at large to help make Nano what we want it to be to gain mass adoption?
So I would say just get involved. You see the Nano Center, and they have a lot of really cool things for marketing. So you get YouTube videos or whatever it is that they're working on at the current time. Just if you can do something, I mean, I see a lot of people that say, well, I'm not a tech person. Okay, but you might be a designer. You might just not do anything but have an idea. I mean, if you don't get involved, then it's one less person that can make us, worldwide. So there's always a place for someone somewhere, and yeah, I'd just say get involved. Do it. Don't hesitate. So.
All right, sweet. Well, everybody, thank you so much for tuning into this episode full of sweet information about BrainBox, where it's going, and I think it's a good omen for where Nano is going too. Make sure you give a big thanks to Ty on Reddit or Nano or wherever you see him. And until next time, go buy some more Nano.
See you guys.